Alright, so we did some work on the Mustang without filming it and without showing you guys. That was about 2 weeks ago. We wired up the rest of the ECU, we got some other stuff done. We tried to start it and the starter is bad. So we have a new starter now. We've got some other parts. I think we have a throttle cable that needs to go in. And we just need some small things to do right now on the Mustang before it will actually start and run, hopefully. We're not 100% yet. But it should run in the next, 2 to 3 weeks. I have a list here of what needs done. As you can see, top of the list says clean your garage before doing list, because my uncle's not too happy with parts laying everywhere, because we have literal boxes of parts throughout the garage here. But on the list we still have wire starter, which that's done now. I have the starter solenoid wired, everything's good to go there. We still have to hook up the mass airflow sensor, which is the box that goes before the turbo. Clutch cable's done, the trans sensors are done, the ignition system is mostly done. I don't know if I have to rewire the coil or not, but we'll figure that out today. We need to do vacuum lines, battery cables, which I also have. I have new battery cables. The battery we're using might be old, we don't really know, but we're going to try it anyways. Fuses, we have the fuse panel mounted in. We'll show you that today because we did that while you guys. Well, no, we put the fuse panel in while we were recording, right? So that might be on video. But we'll show you again today because it's a little bit neater now.
We might not.
Mount the ECU, which needs done because the ECU is laying on the passenger side floorboard. We have to put coolant in it. That's important. Don't let me start without putting coolant in. We also need to put gear oil in the transmission because the transmission is pretty clunky. It got drained when we swapped it out. Handbrake. Oh yeah, Corey wrote handbrake down because the e-brake cable is no longer attached to the e-brake handle for some reason. I think I was doing too many skids and broke it. We need to put an intercooler on somehow. I don't know if I'm going to use. I have the stock ST1 laying around here somewhere. I also have the stock Thunderbird one laying over there, which I've seen can work, so we might do that. And throttle cable, which is on here twice, I think. Yeah, I think it's on here twice. But throttle cable is in the back of the car. I bought a nice stainless steel throttle cable, which was like way too expensive, but I bought it anyways because I like stainless braided steel stuff. We'll put that in today, hopefully, and yeah, we'll get some stuff done. Maybe try to start it today, but let's get to it. Alright, so we got a slight issue. There's a wasp nest right there. I'm going to have to go ahead and take care of that, so sorry wasps. That's a lot of foam. Oh, there's a lot of them in there. Alright, so our first step today is going to be to remove the starter. We've made this a lot more complicated now because we have a giant turbo, well not giant, but a turbo on top of the starter here. So what we're going to have to do is, again, we've done this once before, we're going to have to unbolt this side's motor mount, jack the motor up, unbolt the starter, pull the starter out, new starter in, bolt it back up, that whole jazz. And then after that, we probably work on some wiring. But let's start with the starter first. I also found out why we couldn't put the stock intercooler back on. The stock intercooler sits like right in this area, and there's a oil feed line for the turbo there. I'll probably have to try to get a right angle for this. That way we can move it back somewhere else and maybe fit the stock intercooler on, or just buy a new intercooler off eBay or something. Maybe Mishimoto, since they're nice people over there. Try to get that going. But yeah, let me go ahead and unbolt the motor out. Alright, so we got the starter back in, well the new one's in. Got everything bolted back together, all the new battery terminals on, we got new battery cables there. Everything's all hooked up and we get nothing but clicks when we try to start it. So I'm guessing the starter solenoid's bad. It's kind of a wild guess, but it's old. It could probably use replaced. So we're gonna go swap that out with a brand new one we just bought and see if that does anything. But as of right now, if I get in the car and flick my big red switch here and hit the start button, well, it's not gonna do anything right now because the battery's disconnected, but it'll just click, it won't do anything. Alright, so it wasn't the starter solenoid. It wasn't the starter. It was me being pretty dumb. So between the engine and the actual, like, you know, engine bay, there's several layers of paint, some layers of rust, and it's not very good for continuity, you know, running electricity through it. So the motor pretty much was not getting grounded. So I added another, I know this looks like a mess, but I added another ground cable from the grounding point for the battery to a random bolt on the motor. So the motor is actually properly grounded now. And once we did that, we got the starter to do something. It went in and ground. It didn't really engage. It didn't try to kick the motor over or anything like that. So what we're gonna try to do now is, I think the new starter might be shimmed differently. I don't have any shims. So I'm gonna put the old starter back in to see if that still works, and go from there and see what that, you know, gets us. But that's gonna be like another hour, maybe. It's not a fun process in this car, but we're getting to it. All right, my hat's really dirty. I'm really dirty, but we put the old starter back in, hooked that all up, and it is shimmed the correct amount, so it will engage with the flywheel and it will crank. I am so unbelievably happy. You guys didn't catch the moment where it actually happened, but I was like ecstatic. If you guys want to check this out, we can now flip the big red switch, hit the start button, and now we just gotta figure out some more electronic stuff and figure out why it's not actually running. But that shouldn't be as big of a deal. I say that now, but it's probably gonna end up being a massive pain. But we're one step closer. We should have figure some more stuff out here. So we gotta test to see if we're getting spark. Because we are getting fuel, I can smell it. But the engine is not actually, you know, turning over. So what I'm gonna have Roman do is hold the spark plug here like this, yeah, so it's grounded.
Can't wait.
And I'm gonna crank the motor.
Yep.
If you see sparks and that gas plug catches on fire, then we know it's good, all right? So if shit goes bad, yell. Also, there's an ant infestation on the passenger side kickboard. It scared the crap out of me. I think I have ants crawling on me. I have ants in my pants. But let's see here. Ready?
Yeah. Nope.
No sparks?
Nope.
Alright. Yeah, no spark. So, why are we getting no spark? Alright, so the Mustang does not run yet. We got it to, you know, turn over and like actually function slightly. So now we are able to diagnose other stuff. I think there's still an electrical issue. I have to do some more research, find out what's going on with this. I know there are some more sensors and stuff that need to be hooked up. I did wire the neutral safety switch and everything to ground, which it's supposed to be, but we are getting fuel, we're getting air, we're just not getting spark right now. But we want to do other stuff today, and we're going to cut this a little short. We're going to push this back out, but now it has a starter, so I can kind of, you know, just like start it out, you know, just bump it out. But yeah, I think that's all we're going to do for today. Next episode, we might be able to get it running. Maybe. You'll see. But we'll catch you guys next time. See ya.